Welcome back to Of Course You're Invited, where real friends share real stories. And today we have Navied Mahdavian, an artist and cartoonist at The New Yorker, TEDx speaker, joined by his good friend, Anthony Leyton. And I'm going to let them introduce each other.
So I am here with Anthony Leyton Thomas, who is a Renaissance man. He does everything. Easier to list off the things he does not do than to list the things that he does do.
I'm here with my friend Navied Mahdavian, who is a neighbour, a friend of my daughter's, and a cartoonist for The New Yorker, a memoir author, and a speaker.
So I know that you're new friends. Is that correct?
Newish.
Newish?
Yeah, a couple of years.
Yeah.
How long have you known each other?
I think, yeah.
Since the 24th of June, 2024.
Which we know because it was...
My daughter's 6th birthday party.
Okay. Wow. This feels rehearsed. I love this. So smooth.
Was it her 5th?
There was a moment where I was like, is he making a joke?
Might have been her 5th. I think it was her 5th. Yeah, it was her 5th.
So you're connected through your children. Is that right?
I guess primarily, yeah.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have met otherwise, I don't think.
Although, to be fair, Anthony does, while I'm in my pants having my third cup of coffee, I do see him running past my house in his neon spandex, training for marathons. So I do see you on most days, and you stand out. So
if you hadn't actually met me, would you have come out of your house and said,
probably
hey,
not. I would have talked about
talk to
you.
me. I want to know more about the
I would have
spandex."
talked about you. I probably would not have introduced myself to you.
Would
though.
I have appeared in the background of a comic?
Probably, maybe.
And
Yeah.
you both live in Folkestone together.
Yes.
Yes.
So we lived 2 streets away. Well, a street away. We're and our daughters both go to the same school. So
Which is in between our houses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lovely. London could never.
Yeah.
No.
It's cute.
What I'm really interested to hear about is this meeting, right? You were at the birthday party. What was it about, I guess, the connection that you had that you decided that potentially this could be a friendship that you could explore? Because I know, speaking to my dad, he always talks about making friends as a guy when you're older is just difficult, and he's always like, girl, wait until you get a certain age, and he really relishes in new opportunities to meet people. So I wondered how that worked out for you.
Anthony, go on. What was it
Okay.
about me?
I saw you across a bouncy castle. No, so I think because Kai's birthday was it was only a couple of weeks after you'd moved to Folkestone, right?
Yeah.
Ellic had just started at the school. Sorry, am I allowed to say your daughter's name? Is that okay? And it was actually I think the first time. I've got 4 kids, and it was the first time we've been like, right, we'll have a birthday at our house. Because we'd never been brave enough before. So she invited the whole class, including your daughter, who just started at the school. And then we learned that these exciting, glamorous Americans had shown up in town. And one of them was a cartoonist.
But I was not hired to cartoon at the birthday party. Though.
Oh, wow.
I wasn't aware you were available for commissions at that point. So we just got chatting in my garden. I was like, oh, wow, this is, I'm always interested in, creative, exciting people, especially when they move 2 streets away. So I'm like, oh, brilliant. How can I exploit this person? And are they in any way a kind of a competitor or threat to me? And as soon as I'd established that we're in completely different areas, I was like, fine, this is good.
Fabulous.
Yeah, and I remember many great friendships. It started. Anthony was just very free with the Prosecco.
Yeah, I bring people to my house. I get them very, very drunk, and if they come back, then they can be friends.
Yeah.
I'm loving this. I love the Prosecco. I love the exploitation going on here. And I also wanted to touch on you moving to the UK, right? Mm-hmm. So it must have been daunting to move country. I don't know. Was it?
Yeah. I'm no stranger to moving. I think in the past 8 years, I've lived in 3 different places. Mm-hmm. And so I don't think it didn't feel daunting to be moving to a new place because I had done that. But then I knew what to expect. And so, I think there is always the picking up, leaving, and starting over again. And so meeting people it's big, and it's tiring, you know, because you make friends and then you leave and you try to stay in contact and then you inevitably you don't really. And so there was that element that I felt a little nervous about. But I feel like at this point I'm pretty good at. So I'll be here for a couple of years and then I'm leaving again. So
You're like a veteran at moving. So
Yeah.
you must also be very well versed in being able to build connections quite quickly.
Yeah.
And build community. So how did you do that? Because I know my friend, she just moved to Manchester and she's just like, how does it work when you meet someone, you're like, hey, I really enjoyed their energy, right, at this event. How do you go from then to like meeting up? And she was on a FaceTime with me this week and she was like, do I feel like I'm like begging it in like people's like DMs or like messaging them and be like, should we have a coffee again?
It's like the premise of so many movies, right? Like trying to like make, like, how do I make friends?
Like, how do we do it? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that, I mean, it's hard, like, it's hard to know, like, what, I feel like friendships, like romantic relationships, it's hard to know, like, what makes you click, like, what in that soup is it that makes you want to spend more time with somebody else. But I think there was pretty quickly where we established that there were, I mean, I'm going to just out us as, like, D&D players and like board game, like many men in their 40s board game players.
Oh, what board game?
Yeah, I think it's easier for you, Anthony, to say what board games you don't play as opposed to what board games you do play.
Oh yeah, okay. This is yeah. If our friendship ever breaks down, it will be because you turn up at my house with a set of Monopoly again.
You don't play Monopoly?
No. What? No. Monopoly is a terrible game. Why would anyone want to play Monopoly? What is wrong with you?
It's like a universal global
Exactly.
sensation.
It is a classic. It is fun, and people who don't like to play it, it's because they're bad at it.
That's
the
fun.
tea?
No one is bad at Monopoly. Monopoly is the problem, not the people playing.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna part Monopoly here.
I mean, I can understand, you know, if you're playing it kind of properly and it becomes a game of like bluffing and trading and all the rest of it,
Right.
maybe there's a spark of enjoyment that could be had from that. But there are so many games that do that better. Leave Monopoly at home.
Very passionate about board games. But I think quickly we established that there was this thing that we had in common. And I think that, I don't know, it's easier to get to know somebody when you have something in common and something to do while you are like establishing, like, who are you? Like
The local Monopoly hater. Well, it's also, I think, you know, friendships are formed also largely by proximity and kind of convenience as well. Like, so if you are running into each other at the school gates and just kind of chatting. I was reading somewhere the other week that like it's, I mean, this is one of those random figures, but it takes like 200 hours with someone, spending time with them before you kind of establish a kind of friendship. And so you either have to be...
Do you think we've spent 200 hours? Is this not yet a friendship?
Maybe not. I don't know. I'm pretty sure we've done 200 hours by now. But it's a lot unless you are like on the next street running into someone day to day, or you're being very, very intentional about it, or you're always going to the same thing together. It's quite hard to build up that kind of time with anyone.
Yeah.
So,
and I think, I think there are plenty of people who I run into and who I see, and so there's the element of proximity, but then it's also making the effort to, seeing you on the street to then, let's do something.
Yeah.
Let's hang out. Be my friend.
okay. Yeah, I think, but I guess there's a point you get to when, because I don't know, I'm always, when I'm in conversation with someone, I'm always generally quite self-conscious, and you're always thinking like, oh, what shall I say? You have to be quite calculated almost about...
Because we're judging you.
Because, because, you know, and so it becomes quite effortful, but then there's some people you can speak to, and then you can get to a point where you realise, oh, actually, I'm not actually thinking too deeply about this. I've kind of just relaxed into this, and this is kind of day to day. And that's, I think, a nice point to reach. And I think, personally, I reached that quite quickly with you.
I think a few more hours and maybe.
Okay.
Okay. No,
Sorry
I agree. And I think, back to your question about being in a new place, I think that you're constantly meeting new people, and they're like trying to establish, and is this person somebody who I'm going to have like a friendship with? Where is this going? And I think having a friendship where you don't have a lot of that social pressure, it does. Because like, I mean, I think like lots of people, millennials, that's like the joke is that we're great at canceling on plans. And it's just like,
You are very good at that.
Yeah.
Go on,
but you accept me. No, but because I think there's the element of like, oh, I have to be on now, even though this is a person who I've spent time with. Where I think that after you get to a certain point, to your point, where like you don't have to do that, and you could just, on the train ride here, it was okay to just be quiet.
Silence, the comfortable silence.
Exactly.
Where does that skill of discernment come from? Being able to figure out whether that person is someone that you want to invest that time and those 200 hours into? Because I can just imagine, is it something that you sharpen as you get older and you meet more people with age and you're able to sort of like figure out who you are and like sort of the type of person who's compatible with you? Because I always think that even just myself like a year ago, I'm like, oh wow, like I've learned so much, and like ex people that I was like hanging out with, I'm not like, is that like the sort of vibe? And I guess what I'm asking is like, how do you know? Is it something that you just feel? Is it intuition? And have you always felt that throughout your life?
It's probably pheromones or something. I don't know. I suspect it's something that's kind of a bit of on a subconscious level. So maybe it is pheromones. But
like I feel like as I've gone, time is always precious, but I feel like as you get older, I mean, if you partner up, if you have kids, time just becomes more precious, and like you only have so much time to allocate. And so I think that I don't know what it is about a certain person, but it's like if there are things that you both enjoy doing, and so I would be doing this because I think that like our friendship really like started when we did the theater together.
Oh God, yeah, of course.
Yeah, because Anthony was doing something with the amateur theater group, and he invited me to come along. And I feel like that's one of those moments where it's like not only is Anthony doing it, but then he's also like inviting me to do it. And it's just like, oh, like he likes me. I want to do this new thing, and I will do that thing with him.
I really enjoyed that actually. That whole period of
doing and to your point about like exposure and just being around. I mean, having this weekly thing that we were doing together, where it's like, particularly I think at the beginning of friendships, where it's been a couple of weeks or a few weeks and you haven't seen this person, it's like, oh, you have to catch up. But like doing something every week, like I know I'm going to see you on a Tuesday and I know I'm going to see you on a Thursday. It helps to alleviate some of that. And then you're spending time because you enjoy doing this thing, and it's a new thing. And you both get bottom of the billing, and you can,
That was a lot of fun. I think that was a certain sense of camaraderie of being like the two smallest parts in the play.
Yeah.
So you were acting in this play.
We did a Midsummer Night's Dream.
Oh really?
And we were two of the mechanicals who do the play within the play.
I deserved bottom of the billing. I don't know if Anthony, if you did, because you are actually a good actor.
Well, I mean, you had 7 lines and I had 4. I mean, who's counting? It's not a competition. But yeah, that was it was a lot of fun, and it was and it was. I mean, I really enjoyed seeing the way you just kind of threw yourself into that whole thing, because it wasn't something you'd done before. No. And I mean, obviously, but like all things that you haven't done before, you just assumed you'd be amazing at it.
I did. I mean, I've always told myself, were I not doing this, I would have been a great actor. Right. And then I went and I auditioned for Puck, which is one of the leading roles. And then I get up there and I realize I am really bad at this. I don't know how to do this. And like, shocker, it's an actual skill. So I'm lucky I got bottom of the billing. I think in some ways it was a fun thing, a new thing to do, and I also think I associated that with you because you were the one who invited me. He also I'm that friend without a car, and so Anthony also would get me to the theater, and so I think, I can't imagine. I mean, we may have become close friends
Yeah.
without that, but it definitely, I think,
It was definitely kind of a catalyst, hot house type.
Yeah, where it's like, for
setup.
these next few months, we are going to be spending this time together every week, a couple times.
And you got a cartoon out of it, so it was
And I did get a
monetizable
cartoon
as
out of
well.
it, exactly, yeah.
Of you as Puck.
Exactly,
How it should
rewriting
have
it.
been.
Yeah, Anthony likes to joke. He's like, is there anything that you won't do to mine for a comic? And the answer is no. So this will probably get turned into a comic.
What have you learned going through that process from each other?
I mean, I joke about, being in my pants and seeing Anthony running by, training for the marathon. But I mean, being, 40 and having a kid and work there, I think it's easy to just not do things, but you just have an seemingly infinite amount of energy. You are always doing things. And I think going through that and seeing you do things, I mean, there is a way that, and I think like the best of friendships and relationships, they motivate you and make you want to be you make me want to be a better man.
Have I succeeded? I was going to say something similar about you, because one of the things I've always admired about you is that kind of, that you will just throw yourself into something and assume you'll be great at it. And I say that like it's
Unearned
a kind
confidence.
of I know, but I say that like it's a sort of dig in the ribs. But actually, it's a genuine.
Yeah.
The people who succeed in life are the ones who throw themselves into something, assume they'll be great at it, and fail, but then do something else and turn out to be. And I think because I moved to Folkestone only like 6 months before you did, really. So we were both quite new in town, and I'd come from a place where like it wasn't very. It was a fairly small town. It wasn't hugely sort of culturally rich or diverse. There wasn't much going on kind of creatively. We didn't have like a huge group of friends. We'd had like 4 kids growing up, so we'd been quite isolated. And I'd come to somewhere kind of completely different, but I was still quite guarded, I think, and like slightly. Slightly distrustful of people, and like, sorry, that makes it sound like I was like, I'd been in prison and just come out again. but I was wary of like reaching out and forming like, social connections and that kind of thing. And then in you, I saw someone who was just like, no, I'm here, I'm out there, I will do this, I will, be great. And I'm like, and so it kind of brought me out of myself a little bit, I think.
That it's like the natural confidence, and I think sometimes when people have that in like a sort of like light that shines in them, I think it sort of brings out that trust in you as well. I think about my friends who are the most sort of like confident, and they're just, I'm just gonna do this thing, and I'm like, okay, like maybe if they can, I can.
Yeah.
And it's you sort of like reflect back that energy.
But just that idea that you don't have to know how to do something to do something.
Yes.
And that is something I'm really only realizing now. I'm middle-aged. is like actually like so many things you hold back from because you don't think you have that you're qualified for, or you don't have the enough information, or you don't have the skills, or you don't have the general personality type, and that's all nonsense. And yeah, you've proved to me that you can do something and be successful whilst being manifestly unsuited to it.
And as you said earlier, and fail.
I'm a big fan of being open to and embracing
Sure.
failure now.
Yeah.
I didn't used to be, but I think now you have to be prepared to fail, otherwise you're never going to get anywhere.
That's like such a big lesson that I think so many people are still learning, including myself. I think it's really hard to like step into something that you might not be good at, right? And it's so easy to say, but it's really different to action, because actually when you do that sort of internal audit and you're thinking about the things that you would love to do and not doing, it's a lot of fear that's holding you back, right? So where does this skill come from? How do you do it?
Where does my unearned confidence come from? But to be honest, again, like I think it's the invitations to do things, because I think that like doing the theater was great, but I mean I would not have done it had you not invited me to to do it. But then there's like, I don't know. I mean, I think particularly in this past year turning 40, I mean, it's the cliche of the midlife crisis, where I think I've just been throwing things at the wall to see what will stick. Like, who will I be in my 40s? Which I think everybody probably experiences when you get to your 20s and then 30s and like the new decade. And so I think in the past year, I mean, I started skateboarding again. Yeah, that was the 39-year-old man face planting on my skateboard. You know, cycling, the theater. I've just like many 40-year-old men before me, I've decided I'm going to become a great chess player.
Is that what you play together?
No.
Okay,
actually, as I say this, I think it may actually be less unearned confidence and more just flailing. I think just like throwing my arms out, seeing.
I mean, I'm open to a game of chess. Not Monopoly, but chess.
Yeah.
Okay, chess is on the boards.
Yeah.
But you are also quite ridiculously competitive, though. So.
Yeah, I mean, the pot called thing to the I mean, I think we've arm wrestled and I won in that.
No, this is
some more of that revisionist history.
The problem is this happens every time. You did not win.
But if you say
did
it
not
enough,
win.
it
But
becomes.
this is it.
Who won? Be honest.
I won. I
Why
won.
are you lying? Why are you lying?
I don't recall.
But he's right, because like I'm only now 90% sure that
because
I
I
won.
said it enough and I told enough people. There's somebody out there right now saying, well, you know, Navied and Anthony, they wrestled, and Navied won.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. Minds are changing. This is the triumph of this information. But no, right, I won. But if this were happening a year from now, I might not even know anymore.
Exactly.
But,
well, and I was thinking about this, and you know, thinking about our conversation today, and I was like, I think what's nice is getting to a place in our friendship where we also have like the in jokes, right? The joke that I won the arm wrestling because I not only lost against you, I also lost against your, I think, newly 15-year-old son. So it is soon a family tradition to beat me in arm wrestling.
I can't believe you've just said that out loud on recorded.
You feel vindicated.
I mean, I'm
it's on
impressed.
record.
That's-
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, we have, you know, there's the in jokes, which I think that, just adding those bricks into the.
You also mentioned creativity being something that you share.
Yeah.
And you, I guess, find like value in. What does creativity mean to you now that you're at a stage where you're exploring different things and you're throwing things at the wall, seeing where it sticks? I know for both of you in your professions, creativity is something that you action daily. How do you sort of like, what does creativity mean to you now in your personal and professional lives?
You start.
I mean, I think it's seeing how many things you do. Because I think for me in my practice, I mean, I have friends who, they seem like the sort of consummate artist where like, you know, they have to be drawing, they're doing any number of mediums, right? Like doing things. And for me, I mean, it's never been cartooning and comics is something that I do professionally, but then like on my free time, I'm doing other things. So I don't have that. And so I think, I mean, because like you do, you know, the theater, I mean, professionally, I mean, it's the copy editing, right? Like but you do the theater, and you're going to be directing something soon, written a children's book, you know, any number of things. And so I think that just seeing where it's creativity, it's both professional, but then also for pleasure, which I think was one of the fun things about doing the theater, where it was this thing that was just, I was doing it for the first time for the sake of itself. And particularly with a large group of people, all of whom I think do this on the side. You know, it's like, it's quote unquote amateur, amdram. And so everybody is just doing this for the love of it. You're creating something that's ephemeral. Once you're done, it's over. And I think that was a really nice thing to do that I wouldn't have done had you not done it. I mean, I still don't. I mean, like, I'm not now on my free time doing other creative things, but I aspire to be, you know, to be doing that in the way that you do.
Thanks. I don't know. I've spent the last, I don't know, year or so, 18 months, actually thinking a lot about kind of creativity, because in my work, most of my work is really kind of facilitating other creatives. So I'm a writer, editor, copywriter, and most of the time I am working with other people to sort of support them in that kind of capacity. So it's people who might be amazing in whether that's, I don't know, design or architecture or something like that. But in terms of the writing element, that's where they kind of need the support, and that's where kind of I come in. But what I have been doing is try and explore different avenues that are just for myself, rather than kind of working with someone else or, piggybacking off someone else's kind of success, if you like. So I'm trying to spend more time just creating for the sheer pleasure of it, as opposed for the professional
And you
aspect of it.
do so. I was just reminded on Monday nights your creative writing group, and like
Okay.
coming to see that both you and Jax, your Anthony's partner. I mean, you're crocheting. I mean, there's like and having 4 kids. I mean, I don't know how you have the energy to do all the things that you do.
It's a midlife. It's all midlife crisis. Everything is down to you hit this point in your. I'm
running out of time.
Literally, yes. You're like, okay, gosh, I've got to 40. How old I am? 44, 45, 44. And you're like, well, actually, there's a point where the end of the road does kind of come into sight, and it's because you've got the older generation, your parents are dying, your kids are kind of growing up, and you're like, okay, I'm now at this point literally where I can see both sides of my life. I can see that I've completely forgotten the last decade because I was raising kids for the whole of it, so I sort of opted out of the rest of society. And it's the point where you finally get your head back up above water, and you're like, what were all the things that I was doing when I was like 20, when I put it all aside to get on with my, pursuing a career and trying to get by, earn money, raise kids. And so I'm now at the point where I'm like, I kind of want to find that joy again, that in the things that I did when I was 21.
You mean the joy that you lost when you were raising your
The
kids?
the joy that I lost when I got married and had a job and raised some children. I want back what they've taken from me. But that is kind of just what a midlife crisis is. But I'm a big fan of the midlife crisis because, like, if you don't have one, you sleepwalk to death.
I think crisis in any sort of scenario, I guess, is like it's a reawakening, and it's an opportunity to transform. That's how I see it. It's what you're sort of like speaking. That's what comes into mind, and also when you obviously I'm half at that age, right? Let me not. I'm 28, so I'm not half.
Easy there.
Let me not. But I think what was really interesting about you talking about the things, finding joy in your activities and the things that bring you joy, right? I'm sitting here thinking a lot of people, like my peers and my friends, who identify a lot with what we do and the things that bring us joy. I go Pilates on a Saturday. I go to this class or blah, blah, blah. It becomes part of your identity, right? So I wanted to ask, like, how do you identify when you lose those things and then you raise the family, you get married? Because I think a lot of my friends now are also moving into that stage, and I'm noticing like there's a bit of a tension there, like figuring out who you are in like that next stage of life, and then reconciling with that difference.
I mean, not surprisingly. I mean, I think like growing up and watching my parents, I mean, I wonder if they were experiencing the same things because like as a kid, your parents, they have their heads on straight, they work, they're adults and they have things figured out. And I assume when they hit 40, they were probably having the same sorts of ideas of who am I, what am I, doing, who am I going to be? And it's probably just the normal part of getting older that you don't really get until you have that like moment of crisis or transition and those considerations and who am I going to be for this next decade, and then just trying things on.
Yeah, I think you don't necessarily recognise that your parents are going through transitions when you're a child watching it. Quite literally in my case, as my mother was in another country. But I think, and that's another thing that ties into the friendship idea, though, is, as you're focused on the machinery of life or raising children or something like that, and there's a point between your 20s and your, I don't know, whatever age where you're kind of you're mainly surviving off the friends you made in school or college or university, and they kind of stay with you. You travel because until that point your friends are just there because they're there with you in your classroom or they're on your course.
It's like, oh, you're wearing a red shirt, I'm wearing a red shirt.
Yeah.
Let's be best friends.
Yeah. But you move in cohorts, and you have that, and you have that proximity just sort of built in. And then you're released into the world, and you're focused on your own thing. And friendships kind of some fall by the wayside, and some there are people who you always know, but you only see them once a year or something like that, and that's great. But you are suddenly tasked with making friends kind of by yourself, and it takes intentionality and kind of effort to do that, and you have to be open to it. And if you are focused on kind of family and building a life, etc., you can close yourself off a little bit. And so part of, for me, midlife crisis, or the 40-something life audit, or whatever you want to call it, is suddenly realizing, oh, actually I can be open to building new relationships with people and making new friends, and actually there's something I think really special about that, even compared to the friends you've known since your school days or whatever.
It makes me think about the power of having different pockets of people in your life and people who are able to reflect back different things to you, because I think about my friends from secondary school, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm glad that you've seen, we might not share the same passion for or interest in culture, that sort of thing, we're very different. However, you are able to advise me or speak to me in a certain way because you've seen me go through so many stages. Sure. Whereas I feel much closer to people that I might meet now, right? Is that similar for you? Is that you probably know yourself to a degree that you just can't at a certain 20 years ago, right? You've lived so much more of life, so you're just more in tune with who you are, and as a result, probably the people that you get in contact with might be on the same wavelength as you, same level. Yeah,
I think, I don't know, this might be a bit a slightly reductive way of looking at it, but I think now the friends that you make are built on kind of it's the mutual discovery of commonalities, as you were kind of alluding to earlier, whereas with long-term friends you become more aware of kind of points of difference, because obviously your lives are diverging. So I think you're diverging from the kind of friendships that you had before, and then converging when it comes to making friends in later life. I don't know if I'm committed to this theory yet, but I need to unpack it a bit more. But I think there is kind of something there, because, I don't know.
Yeah, and but then obviously, older friends have their place.
Yeah, sorry. If you have known me for many years, I'm by no means saying
Anthony is just thinking about your points of divergence. No, yeah. And I think to that point, having my daughter is 6, and I think that having my daughter and knowing that I think there's, and this slightly tangential, there's this grief that I always experience, and I think there's just this common grief of parenthood where it's seeing your child change as they get older, and they're no longer the 2-year-old, the 3-year-old, but they're becoming this new person, and that's beautiful. But there is this way that there are only a couple of people, right, who know you the way you were when you were 2 years old or 3 years old, because you yourself don't remember it. And so, I appreciate that there are these people who knew me when I was 16, 17, because they remember things about me that I don't remember. But then, you do meet people now who know you in a way that those friends don't, and I feel like they... you get something from each of those friendships, even though I probably wouldn't want to spend time in the same way with those old friends that I do with.
Do you like the person you were when you were 16?
That's the thing. To what I was saying, I don't really remember what I was like when I was 16. Or I think we have this continuity, this idea that there's a continuity of identity. But, I don't remember what I was like. But, so my father just passed away a couple of months ago, and I went back for his memorial to Miami, where I grew up. And I haven't been there in a long time, and I got to see some of my friends, and immediately you kind of just pick up where you left off, even though you've had this 15 year gap. And so you're not really picking up because there are all of these things that have happened in between, but it feels familiar. And they're sharing things that I don't remember that. And then it makes you think like, do I know who I was when I was 16? And so I think there's this way that you're just like piecing it together when you're like, everybody's holding a part of you that then makes up the whole. I mean, do you feel like both of you that you like when you were 16, do you?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe there's an argument that we're all different people every day because everything is a different kind of chemical composition, and all we're doing is just making, trying to make sense of it with workable theories.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I was looking back. This is one of those Facebook memory came up the other day of I think it was when I was about 25, and I was looking back and thinking, God.
You didn't. I mean, did you immediately delete? Which is what I do whenever those memories come up. Deleting from the record.
I feel like I almost feel like you're not allowed to do that. Like you have to own.
I do that.
The person you were, but I was like, I want to think I'm different now.
Yeah.
And I want to think that I've kind of changed and evolved, matured, whatever.
Sure.
And that I'm older, wiser, thinner.
Yeah.
More handsome and dynamic, but yeah. So I don't know about, but there was a moment of kind of a discomfort with with the past there. I don't know if that's connected to friendship in a way. But.
Well, I think the fun thing also about meeting people when you're older is that there's 42 years of Anthony that I don't know, but like. This morning, I learned that Anthony was. 38 I just found out this morning that Anthony was really into leather in his 20s.
So, is this the picture from Facebook?
I thought you were bluffing when you say you would bring this up.
Yeah, no, and it's just like that's the joy. I look for I wonder what else I will learn about.
I still have those trousers. I will bring them out.
A full leather fit. Love that. That's probably worth quite a lot now.
Probably is. But maybe just as like an antique, but. This is leather in more of a fashion sense than a bondage sense. Just to make that clear, they're quite loose fitting.
We're open to everything. We don't. That's fine.
But well, actually, we had a conversation briefly on the way here. Like we got off the train at King's Cross, went onto the kind of Northern Line, and got onto the escalator to go down. And I immediately went and just stood on the escalator. I'm not an escalator stander. I don't think anyone should stand on an escalator. Sorry if you stand on escalators.
I don't have a rule. Stand and walk.
My rule is life is too short.
And he's passionate about board games and about escalator.
But I realised that actually I don't know what Navied's approach to an escalator is. He might be like a perpetual stander, and therefore we may have to reconsider our friendship even before we get to the studio. So I had to like have a conversation with you about that just for future.
Because
reference.
I stood because he was standing,
exactly.
Even though both of us
don't stand.
We don't stand.
I mean, it shows a general sense of care in the friendship because you actually care about what you know.
But it was almost a moment of panic for me. Because like, my God, we've got to, this stage. We've known each other for 2 years. We've never addressed this.
Yeah, it's a big thing. Did you end up walking down then?
We were already at the bottom of the escalator by the time we'd had this conversation. But
that's a lot of anxiety. That's a lot of time for anxiety to build.
Yeah,
thankfully, I think it was a shorter escalator. Some of those escalator rides are very long.
So long.
So long.
But it's okay. At least we now have a mutually agreed strategy for the journey home.
Exactly.
So.
But yeah, I guess there's always like new things to discover. Escalator politics included, and I think on to your point about going back to when you're 16, it is hard. I can't even remember, and it wasn't that long ago.
And as you made so clear, you were much closer to that than we are in our old age.
A few things are coming back to me now,
Through the mists of time.
But when you were talking about going and seeing your old school friends, right, and like picking up like just from off the bat, and it sort of reminded me of like the roles that we play in certain relationships, because I guess in like a family dynamic it's often like more apparent for me anyway, when I go and see my parents or my mom and I'm like that young person again, I'm like, oh God, or little things that trigger me that wouldn't ever trigger me normally. And I think about my friends from school, and when we hang out, it's always the same topics that we sort of cover, but I love that about the friendship. I know we're going to talk about that school teacher that we always hated, and we're going to talk about this thing that we did like years ago and we're going to reminisce. And it's something special, but it does bring you back into a certain role and a certain headspace, right?
Friend of mine got in touch recently purely to discuss the teachers from our school days who've now died.
God. That's the topic I'm looking forward to. Wait, where do you get the information from that? How do you find out?
There was an alumni newsletter that had come out and had like a massive obit section
Oh my
at the
gosh!
end.
Wow!
Oh God.
Wow! Yeah.
But no, I know what you mean, because like family and old friends, you slip back into the roles that you've kind of always played, and there's a kind of comfort in that.
It's such a comfort.
But then that also highlights one of the strengths of new friendships as well, as you're not necessarily tied to that kind of baggage, and you can present as you wish to be in a way. I'm not saying I've been in any way deceitful in this, but there's a freedom to that. You're not hamstrung by the person you've been necessarily to the same extent.
It's very true. Very true. I went for a meal. I hope you guys are watching, but maybe not. No, I went for a meal the other day with my school friends, and I remember sitting in there. I can't remember what it was. I brought something up, and they were like absolutely shocked that I'd done this thing, which was it was like an activity. They're like, "That's not you, that's so unlike you." And I'm like, no, this is like so me. And I sort of like started feeling really annoyed, secretly, that I was like, I can't believe you guys don't know me. Like, I've known you for so long. And I had to, like, when I was walking back and I spoke to one of my like closest friends on FaceTime about it, I was like, was it so funny that they were shocked about this thing? And
I mean, I think though that in some ways the value of old friends, because it helps you reflect on how it's like maybe you weren't like that when they knew you, but now you are, and you've
changed.
Grown.
Yeah.
It's a benchmark for your evolution as a person.
Exactly.
I do. I'm one of those like 0 to 100 people though, because I was like, do I need to cut these people off? I'm like, I'm like offended. And I was like, and then my friend was like, no, girl, like this is just very normal, like it's fine. Like people can just see you as who you were that. Sure. It's the normal part of growing up. But I did feel that like offense, to be honest. And it made
Have you not kept up with my development? Are you not reading my newsletter?
Literally. And it made me think about this idea of like friendships fading, right? Mm-hmm. And I think people speak about heartbreak in the same light as like friendship breakups now, because of how tumultuous it can be, and you hear all sorts of sort of like drama, but I wondered what it looks like for friendships to fade away for you, and like what that means to you, and like is it a case of that you just don't speak, or is there like a big blowout? I can't imagine that happening really, but
yeah, I mean, I think that having moved around so much, I mean, bring up Aristotle. That's right. I studied philosophy in undergrad. No, but he had the
I only learned that the other week.
Oh,
that you studied philosophy. Yeah.
Learning new things. Yeah. But he had the three types of friendships. There's the utility, pleasure, and then virtue. And
is there not a D, all of the above? Is there not a D, all of the above?
I mean, I think that I don't know. The professor's gonna be very disappointed in me. But the utility is, it's like a friendship of circumstance, right? That like, so it's like you do something together, or you're neighbors, and then once you remove that thing, the friendship kind of fades. And I think that a lot of the friendships I made, in the place I was living in, 8 years ago, and then the places that I was living in 4 years ago, they're hard to maintain once they're out of that context, which doesn't, like, I don't mean to diminish those relationships. It's just because, like, keeping up is hard, and they were valuable, and I was invested when I was there, but then once you're out of that place, they kind of just, like, they were of a time and place, and they're valuable, but then you just, they fade.
But I don't think this fading. I mean, people come and people go, and people come back again. And my view of friendship, and certainly all the people who've ever been important to me at any point, is that I would like to. I'm confident we could pick that up again now. I mean, yes, and just to acknowledge that things have changed, etc. But if our lives converge that we have proximity, or we have or we rekindle somehow. I think there's something really wonderful about reconnecting with someone who you've not seen for 20 years, 30 years, however long. I mean, not that you know that, having not kids.
I wouldn't know anything about that.
Rekindling after 2 years.
But I mean, I had a really wonderful meeting with someone I knew when I was, I think we lost touch in my early 20s, and then met up for a coffee and a walk 20 years later. And that was a really special, wonderful moment. And I know we might not even see each other again for another 10, 15 years, but I know we could do the same thing again if we wanted to. And those kind of friendships to me have their own kind of value, as opposed to the people you see like 3 times a week and hang out with all the time.
Sure.
And I think that there's a danger that you can kind of start kind of creating a hierarchy of value in your friendships, which is something that I kind of try to avoid.
Yeah. But I mean, there have been, I don't think I've had like the big blow up in the same way that you might in like a romantic relationship, but I do have a couple of friends who just for whatever reason like decided that the friendship was over, and they were meaningful relationships, and I still do hear it like very often, frequently, if you were listening, think about those friendships. And I think in the same way that you would with a romantic, because there is a heartbreak and secession, and it's like, why did that happen? And then that introspection that comes after, and like the lack of closure.
The lack of closure. I think that's right. I remember reading an article about that, because in a way, in romantic relationships, you assume that you would have that conversation, right? That it's now done. Yeah. Which is obviously tough, but you do most cases you have that conversation. You can find some closure. Whereas in friendships, it feels a bit less. There's less structure there, right? Sure. And no one gives you the manual on like how to make friends, or like what friendship looks like in different stages of life. So you sort of just leave it.
Yeah. Sometimes your membership can expire. Yeah, and you don't even know. You can't get in.
And it's like, oh, okay, well, it is interesting. And you both spoke about your children, and I wondered how you navigate the concept of friendship with, now that you have kids and they're essentially making friends in their own lives. Like, how do you have conversations around that? Like, what does that look like? I'm just thinking, I've never talked about that with my parents ever. And I don't know why. I guess it just wasn't something that came up.
I mean, I think when you have a 15-year-old.
Yeah.
But I mean, I assume that the conversations with like when my daughter is like 16 and her choice of friends might be something. But with
you think you're going to have conversations when she's 16? Do you? Good luck with that.
My quietly wondering about her friends when she's 16. But at 6, I mean, I think that there's just like a pleasure and enjoyment in like who are your friends, or who are her friends, and then but then like selfishly, it's also like, who are your friends' parents?
Yes.
Could they be my friend? Because you don't know who you're going to get, and I do feel lucky that, because you don't know who the other parents are, and talking about like friendships of circumstance, it's just like the proximity and just spending time, and so I feel fortunate that got you out of all of that. But no, I mean,
it's not surprising that if your kids are friends, that you would probably also be friends as well, just because they are kind of half of you to start with.
Sure.
So there's if they're compatible, then there's probably every chance that you. I mean, I've never had to dissuade any of my kids from hanging out with a certain person because like their parents. Actually, no, that did happen once. Yeah, but that was
we won't ask you to name names.
No, we won't get the information. I guess it is one of those things where you, at a certain age, you are just starting to build your own life, right? And you make those decisions for yourself, whether your kids are making friends, and as an adult you have your friends, and then I guess you then have like touch points of like, maybe something's gone wrong or this has happened, but you then learn those like skills of discernment yourself, and you then build connections in your own way. And I think something that came out from what both of you were saying is, just in general from this conversation, is this element of storytelling that friends allow you to help you write your own story. And I think that's something that I've picked up on from both of you, and especially your work, right? I know storytelling is such an integral part of what you do, and I'm assuming as a copywriter as well, it's something that's very important for how you tell the stories of creatives. So I guess one of my final questions was just, what does storytelling in the lens of like relationships mean to you?
Other than just mining, differently, as you said, exploiting for material. I primarily write memoir, and so I think that I often, as part of my work, it's thinking about myself as a character. And like your day to day, you're not thinking about what your arc is, but when you're sitting down to write it, and you're reflecting, you're thinking about like, what was my hero's journey for this? And I think that the relationships, as you had said, it reflects something back on us. And I think that's probably what draws you too, where it's like having met you, it's like, oh, this is a person who I think I find interesting, who I think would push me to do new and interesting things. And I think that because time is limited with like partners and kids, and you don't have that much time to do things, I want people in my life who I think will make me a better man, which I think inevitably, I'm not thinking about it in these terms, although it might seem like it, that will, the story of me will be more interesting and rich.
I'm about to go quite bleak now, but for me, storytelling is hugely important because, if, like me, you believe that we live in a fundamentally chaotic and godless universe, and our lives are not neat stories.
Sure.
We always die before the story ends. Then
why is this bleak? Bleak how?
Basically, you don't get a final panel to tie it all up in real life. But that, to me, is what makes storytelling the most important thing, because it's the only way to make life. Give it the comfort of making sense. And even if ultimately that's doomed to failure, it's still important, because it's what keeps us going and what gives life shape, or even the illusion of shape, and that's enough.
Yeah, like what you had said about your old friends not thinking, well, that's not you, right? It's that moment of reflection, and again, like seeing your growth and like your hero's journey and that arc of you, and you need that reminder in order to see that.
So true. I think like this element of storytelling, you said, like comfort in life, because I guess ultimately, because it's a story, you have control of like what that story says, which means you can shape it in your way.
You create the meaning that you need.
Until you see those friends that you had when you were 16, and they were like, "You're not forgetting this piece." I know.
This is not chapter 2, honeys. Like, this is not how I wrote it.
Already on the sequel.
Like, what is going on? I am in control of the pen. We're getting to that part of the show where I wrap up with counting down to 3. And when I count down to 3, I ask my guests to say a word that comes to mind. And you can't obviously plan it. This is just, it could be a word that it can sum up your experience here. It could be something that you've been thinking about, but it's just a single word. And you can take a few minutes to think about it. And you seem very...
I'm just like, what are all the words that I know?
I immediately had my joke answer. Okay. And now I'm thinking about
Are you guys ready?
So the words just got to sum up everything.
Anything. It can be
nothing.
anything, nothing, anything. Just word that you feel like you would like to land on in this moment. And also,
unfortunately, godless universe is 2 words, so you won't be able to.
And also, it can just be, you can just say the word, like whatever comes to mind, or you can plan it. Are you?
I've got a deck of words.
Sure.
Okay, so I'm gonna count down 3, 2, 1.
Light.
Leather.
Oh!
I'm just joking. Adventure. Adventure is my real one.
Adventures in leather. There we go.
Adventures. I almost thought it was the same word. I was like, that has never happened before. I was like, wow.
Wait, what was your word?
Who cares?
I was so focused on my joke response.
My word, Navied, was light.
Oh, okay.
It was very sincere.
Yeah. Well, adventure is my sincere one. Yeah.
Like adventure.
Yeah.
I just want to say thank you to you both for joining me today and sharing so generously. I've really enjoyed this conversation. It's put a pep in my step. It's just really nice to hear from your experiences and also sharing the joy of your friendship. in all its elements, all its humor and its sincerity and its light. So thank
I
you.
regret that now.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.